Welcome back for another video. In this video we're going to talk everything we learned from the weekend's games along with my transfer plans and chip strategy for after the international break. So it was a really swingy match, wasn't it, between Ipswich and Nottingham Forest, depending on which players you owned in this one. Elanga coming away with a brace, Milenkovic with 1 goal 1 assist, both registering their biggest scores of the season in fact. Well played if you picked either of those, especially after we had them in last week's videos as well. In my case, it was just Wood and Gibbs-White, a blank from Wood, 2-pointer, and it was just 1 assist from Gibbs-White. And that's 1 assist from Wood in his last 4 games now, no goals. 1.31 expected goal involvement, ranks 10th among forwards over the last 4. It is Man United home next though, so it's got to be a hold for that at least. Forest defence owners are pretty unlucky, unless you had Milenkovic of course. They restricted Ipswich to just 0.42 expected goals, but they scored twice against them. Ipswich were the only team in fact not to have a big chance on Saturday. Man City 2, Brighton 2. Herzler's had Pep's number this season seemingly. 2-1 loss in the reverse fixture and a 2-2 draw at the Etihad. Haaland with the highest XG of all players on Saturday, but that was entirely due to that penalty. Fairly quiet game other than that. He's just not getting the same service as earlier in the season. It was Marmish that won the penalty, which Haaland did bury, and he clinched a bonus point. So that's 84 goals and 16 assists in 94 games. Haaland's now on 100 goal involvements, and that's the fewest any player's ever reached that number in Premier League history. Marmish later scored as well. It's a quality goal outside the box, and he got all 3 bonus from the goal and the assist. Well played if you picked him up. Further to that, it's Leicester home after the international break as well. Ridiculously good fixture. Is anyone buying Marmish for that one? And if you do have Haaland, are you captaining him or are you going with Salah if you've got both? That's another massive call. The captaincy widget on my app's currently got Haaland top with 5 stars, and then it's got Salah and Palmer on 4 stars, so it's pretty close. City do have the FA Cup quarter-finals against Bournemouth on the 30th of March, and then they play Leicester on the 2nd of April, and then it's the Manchester Derby on the 6th of April. So you could use that as an argument in favour of Salah, who's only got Premier League games remaining now. A disappointing 1 pointer for Vardio. He was a really popular Trent replacement. Though as a reminder, in fairness, there wasn't a single clean sheet by the 10 teams involved on Saturday, so it's not like anyone did particularly good, except Milenkovic of course. Everton versus West Ham finished a 1-1 draw. That was the last hope of a clean sheet on Saturday, West Ham, and it was killed by O'Brien equalising in the 90th minute, a Garner assist as well, so it was a pretty useless goal for FPL purposes, unless you're one of the very few that had O'Brien. It was Souček who wiped the Everton clean sheet, assisted by Bowen. And that marks the end of Everton's good run of fixtures. They've got the worst run of games in the league now. It's Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, Man City and Chelsea next. So yeah, time to hop off our Everton assets in the near future. We're definitely going to be wanting to bench them at a minimum. So these are the approximate double game week 33 odds. West Ham are among those with a higher chance of doubling if Brighton beat Forest home in the FA Cup. So the likes of Areola, I think he's 4.2 mil. Bowen, Wan-Bissaka could be really handy picks if they get that double. And by the way, the reason Brentford and Forest are only 2% here is because Forest game week 33 fixture has actually been arranged for Monday. So that means a double game week is basically impossible because they'd only get 1 day rest if it was scheduled on Wednesday or Thursday because they play again on Saturday. So theirs would likely drop later in the season if Forest beat Brighton, likely game week 35 or 36. Villa and Man City are the ones almost certain to double, so yeah, Haaland, Vardy, maybe Marmoush look like great picks. And of course from Villa there's Rodgers and Watkins, maybe a defender. Arsenal have got around a 40% chance along with Palace. If this happens, it's going to make things really interesting because you're going to want to own Gabriel, maybe Raya, but of course Saka's going to be back around game week 30 or 31. But how do you afford Saka, Isak, Mateta when they've got double game week 32? Saka maybe 33. And then there's also Haaland, you probably want Salah, Gabriel, like Watkins as well. That'd make it 4 strikers you want to double with only room for 3 in your team. And I guess this is why getting some transfers in the bank is going to be really useful in the coming weeks if you can get there. Let's say Palace don't get the double game week 33. You may want Mateta for 32, and then you swap him straight out, maybe for some other striker that doubles in 33. And obviously there's Newcastle assets as well that won't double in 33 regardless, but they do have a nice fixture in 33. Lots to think about anyway, but yeah, the underlying point is to get some roll transfers if you can. We might even get the double game week 33 and blank game week 34 announcement over the international break. It's more likely to be before the game week 31 deadline, but it could be over this break. Southampton 1, Wolves 2. Southampton actually started really well. 1.37 expected goals for the Saints as well, whereas Wolves registered the lowest of all teams on Saturday with 0.36 expected goals. Heroics from Strand Larsen bagging a brace. And that makes that Cunha suspension even more frustrating if you had him. This could have been a game where he'd hauled in. I couldn't quite believe my luck with Strand Larsen, honestly. I've had him stuck on my bench for about 15 game weeks taking price falls, but I suppose it's all worth it when he scores twice. Many managers went for Manetzi, but it was Bellegarde who came away with 2 assists. Very unlucky. As was 8 Norris clean sheet wipeout. He was on for 2 bonus till then. It was a ruthless day of FPL without a single clean sheet. And the last match on Saturday, one match we all had high hopes for, was Bournemouth versus Brentford, given the popularity of Kirkes, Semenyo, Kluivert and Bumo Wissa. It was just an assist for Kirkes, no clean sheet, and nothing from Semenyo or Kluivert, besides a customary yellow card for Semenyo. He's on 9 yellows for the season now, 1 more and he's on a 2-match suspension. That all said, despite the blanks and how annoying he's been, he's in the same boat as Wood really, give him 1 more game. Bournemouth come back from the break home to Ipswich, so it's a nice fixture. Wissa and Mbeumo at least came away with a return each, linking up as they have done throughout the season. It was an Mbeumo corner that found Wissa of all players rising highest and he beat Kepa. Arsenal won, Chelsea 0. In a week where those of us not on a chip really needed everyone to show up and Palmer didn't. Massive stroke of luck for anyone that sold him, even if whoever you picked up didn't do anything. Unfortunate for those that did keep him. We didn't know before the deadline that he'd picked up this small injury in training, which is what Maresca said had happened. And he added he hopes to be back after the international break. Saliba was absolutely faultless, and it was actually Timber who clinched the maximum bonus. The goal came from an Ødegaard corner, which Merino flicked in past Sanchez. Chelsea obviously is sorely missing the likes of Jackson and Madueke as well as Palmer. Only Sels has got more clean sheets than Rise 11 with 12. Just 0.35 expected goals conceded by Arsenal. They restricted Chelsea just 8 shots in total, only 3 of which were in the box. 0.35 XGC. Even if they don't end up with a double game week 33, I'll almost certainly be keeping Gabriel at minimum, maybe Raya as well, just to stay invested in the top defence. So moving on to an early look at my team selection for game week 30, it's Raya in goal, Gabriel, Munoz and Vardy in defence, Semenyo, Kluivert and Mbeumo and Salah in midfield, Strand Larsen, Haaland and Wood up front. Got a bit of a bench decision to make. It's Fabianski, Gibbs White, Cole and Tarkowski. So which one do I start? Gibbs White home to Man United or Strand Larsen off the back of that brace home to West Ham? Still no Cunha. Got 1 free transfer, 0.6 mil in the bank. I mentioned quite a few weeks back when I took a -4 for Gabriel that was with game week 30 in mind, which I was quite lucky to have repaid already that hit. The goal was always to roll into the wildcard if possible, so that's the plan, roll the transfer. Something could happen over the break that might force a transfer, but if it's any of my front 7 then I can just use Gibbs White off the bench, worst case scenario. Even if it's a defender problem over the break, I might still play Colwell and just leave it, as I really want to get a transfer banked to keep myself flexible. In game week 31 I'm planning to wildcard currently, so game week 32 would be to roll the transfer to get up to 3, and then game week 33 I might need those transfers and possibly bench boost them. I mentioned at the start of the video, if Palace for example don't double in game week 33, then you could hop off their assets after they've got that double in 32 and then hop onto someone that has a double in 33. Just like blank game week 29 was, I can see those weeks being a run where there's loads of hits, and if I can avoid a hit then that's going to be a winning strategy over that run. Salah versus Haaland captain, massive debate as well, lots of time to think that one over. As it stands, I've got the armband on Haaland, vice captain Salah. There's a special video coming tomorrow. It's a rare addition to the special videos playlist on my channel, so make sure you subscribe for when that drops. And if you've not seen the playlist, go on my channel and check out some of the content in there. See you soon for the next one.